just in terms of why perform FMEAs? What are the benefits of an effective FMEA study? Well, FMEAs are proven methods. They're effective and powerful tools that benefit the organization, your customers, and your end users. Um, they do these by meeting industry-specific standards. So maybe if you're in automotive, for example, you might follow the AIAG recommendations for FMEAs. You might have customer requirements if you supply to, for example, the military or automotive medical devices. A large number of sectors now employ FMEA as a requirement. Um, FMEAs, again, if they're performed correctly, they help you identify the necessary controls and they help you develop the test procedures that you need in advance of actually completing your project or running your process for production. The idea then is that it can help you improve your yield and improve your profit margins. It gets you to market sooner if you're able to identify the challenges in advance and mitigate their risks. So um, increased machine and human resource availability, we touched on that as well. Again, higher yield means that we're spending less time in failure analysis. We're spending less time with product lines down or delaying the release of a product. Also, because we're spending less time working on failures, we're able to focus engineering time on developing new and better products, and that's what will drive revenue in the future as well. FMEAs, because we're identifying all potential failure modes that might take place for a particular product or a particular process, we can ensure employee and customer safety. And in addition to having the moral benefits, also helps reduce our costs because having the FMEA in place will limit our liability in terms of legal disputes as well. There's case studies where having an FMEA in place has greatly reduced an organization's liability for some injuries that have occurred. And also we can reduce the quote cost of quality. By employing the FMEA in advance, again, we'll be able to reduce the number of failures that we have, reduce the amount of time, engineering time spent, which is a savings cost, reduce the amount of time that we're spent in expensive failure analysis, rework, all of that. So FMEAs are very effective for that. And most importantly, obtaining team buy-in. Without the team's buy-in, continuous improvement just won't happen. So you need to obtain the team buy-in and to continuously updating these documents, making sure that they have the latest and greatest information. And from that information, that's where we'll learn the most and be able to, in future products and future processes, leverage that knowledge and move quickly through those products and processes. The timing of an FMEA is very important, and you would have heard me say several times already, just that an FMEA needs to be done in advance of the product development. If it's done post-product development or post-process development, it only exposes weakness in the product or process design. So the team is then using, in order to complete the documentation, they're using the hardships that they faced when going through the process of the product design. And that can be very frustrating for the team. And at that point, it's not a value-added exercise anyways. The benefits of conducting an FMEA prior to a project and then reviewing it periodically as you develop the product or process, it will help save your team time because you're identifying potential risks in advance so you can incorporate whatever features or whatever controls that you need in advance. It'll help reduce your development costs that way, and the team will see it as a value-added support because you're preventing mistakes from happening, you're preventing system downtime, you're preventing these failures from occurring. And so it will definitely be a value-added experience. Limiting and defining the scope of the study is a big important one as well. In the past, FMEAs are expected to detail every aspect of the product or process. So if your organization, for example, creates several products or has several processes that are nearly identical, maybe with a few minor differences depending on the product requirements, in the past, you were still expected to detail every last aspect of that product or process. And that's very monotonous for the team. You're, just reiterating things that you already knew. Your team is, it can be very easy to become bored with the process of creating the documentation. Again, it's not seen really as a value added because it's really just covering the aspects of the product or process the team already knows. And when you get into a habit like that, it's easy to overlook new ideas or key features for the particular product or process that you're working on. A lot of times, documents might be copied and pasted, in their entirety, and just the name changed at the top, and that's not really the um, what FMEAs are designed for. So the modern FMEA really focuses on what the differences are between those products. So you might have, for example, a family level FMEA that addresses a broad range of products or processes. And in that, if you have for example, a number of products that are nearly identical, maybe, with the exception of a small discrepancy, you might prefer to do a family level FMEA once for all of those products. And then for each of the individual products, we would ignore the low risk components of those products and focus on the high risk or high potential risk aspects of those designs or processes. Sorry, in terms of high risk aspects might be if there's a new technology that's involved, maybe a new material is being used for the first time. Maybe there's some safety critical features that this product is going through that others did not have to go through. Maybe there's a more complex component of this product that might merit additional thought and preparation. By focusing on what's different about this product, your team can really start brainstorming about, what could possibly go wrong with that new technology, the new safety feature, and then more importantly, ways to mitigate those risks or ways to reduce the likelihood of occurrence for those products. Identifying the team, this is a big one as well. The tendency sometimes is to have all of your engineering team, in on this meeting, and that really isn't the best way to approach FMEAs. The preferred method would be to select just the people that are directly responsible for the product or process in terms of the scope of the current study. So if, for example, we're creating a number of products and this one is slightly different for a particular reason, invite the people that are required for that particular change that's being introduced in this new product. That might include representation of the customer's requirements. So maybe you have somebody from marketing or sales that needs to be part of your team. The key disciplines involved in the product or process design and implementation. So you might have your process engineers there, your design engineers. It's a good idea to have somebody from test engineering or reliability engineering to ensure that we have the proper controls in place. Reliability engineering is great as well for being able to identify frequent failures and the likelihood of failures, and also your quality engineering team to ensure that that the documents are complied to the customer requirements or to the ISO standards that you subscribe to. Now, with these teams, though, it's important to maybe have just the key person representing each group at the meeting, so that the discussion can stay focused on the current document. In a large environment, often sometimes the discussions might leave the current document and talk about other problems